I think it's safe to say that most people are aware that Ben Hogan supposedly had a secret. Now, there's really no way to prove that he ever actually did have a secret because he never divulged of it. There is so-called people that say they know it or were told the secret, but because Hogan never actually told us himself, there's no way of ever proving that. But I think what's interesting is so many people, literally millions of people have searched, or there has been much debate that there is and was in fact a secret, which to me just says that a lot of people feel like there is something to the golf swing that they just quite can't place, but if they knew what that one little thing was, everything would just fall into place. And I think that's what's most interesting to me. Now, I feel that I have found a fundamental that has been overlooked as far as I can see in the golf industry as far as instruction goes. By focusing on this one fundamental, from what I've saw in my own game and in the students' games, that you can have an element of never-ending progression by focusing on this one fundamental. And why I find that the fundamental is something different and unique is I've never seen anyone focus on it purely in their instruction. And I feel that I don't need to really sell this idea rather than to just show you exactly what it is and let you apply it into your game and see what you think. When we get the club in our hands and we get down into the impact position, anytime that we hit a solid golf shot, we're going to be in this position. Now, the reason why that is because with a square club face, you'll notice how there's a slight bow in this lead wrist, which also puts the angle in my right wrist. So if I take this angle out of the right wrist, you'll notice that I've got this look, which everybody knows that would be a flip through impact. And when we flip through impact, that means that something here in the swing, we started to throw or try to hit the ball, or we've stood up on it like this and the club's flipping through rather than coming through controlled with a little forward shaft lean. Now, I don't want to get too technical into forward shaft lean and angle of attack and all these different things, because that's not what the Untold Secret to Perfect Impact is about. We're not about all these fine-tuning positions and techniques and everything like that. We're about the foundation.
Well, you can't dissect the game and learn one phase of it. They're just making too much out of this golf swing and out of the ability to play. And it's supposed to be fun, and these guys are out there like that. They're as tense as anything I've ever seen. It looks like they're going to the electric chair.
I learned from Mo Norman, because I had a chance to talk to him and so on. And his whole point of what he was doing was to just do everything as simply as possible with the least moving parts.
So you notice that if I have wrist cock, look how the club's working. Now, in common sense terms, would this ever send a ball forward? No, it would pound it into the ground pretty good, but it wouldn't send it forward. Well, if I could do wrist hinge, you can see how that could send the golf ball forward. So when I take my hand here and I hinge, and then I put the club in it, it almost kind of works on a 45. Now if I get a little body rotation as I hinge it, you could see how I could get into that square position. If I don't cock my wrist, I'm gonna get the wrist hinge for free. Because if I allow my wrist to be free, the weight of the club is gonna hinge my wrist for me.
Now, some folks say I was the inventor of the so-called modern swing. I'm certainly flattered by that, but really all I was trying to do was to come up with a swing that was simpler and more reliable. Get some string and lay it on the ground. Place a ball on top of the string. Then square up to your target and practice taking the club head straight back. Do this over and over until it becomes a habit. As you take the club back, your weight shifts to your right side. Don't worry too much about when to cock your wrist. If you're swinging properly, the wrist cock will happen naturally.
You had the strength that you needed in this arm. Why would you ever take the club face away from square? You wouldn't.
What's close to a perfect swing? Can't do it, look. Look at the face. Can't get offline if it wants to. Look. Look. Like, see that?
So the whole theory behind the Untold Secret to Perfect Impact is to strengthen the fingers, the hands, the wrists, and the forearms. And when you strengthen the hands, the wrists, and the forearms, you've got to strengthen everything. So as I strengthen my hands are the furthest point from the center of my body that I use for gripping and strength. So the stronger my hands are, the stronger all this needs to be.
Jackie Buck tells a story that Sneed was so strong in his hands that when they used to go to restaurants together with Jackie Buck, Sneed would take a cloth napkin and he would tie it in knots and make it into a little doll for a girl. Jackie Buck, I don't know if he still has one, but he had one for all of his daughters that Sneed made. And he said there's no way you could ever get the knots undone. Sneed would take this thing and he'd go, and he'd do, and he'd make this perfect little doll with a head, arms, dress, and these things out of a cloth napkin. The grip was like holding a little bird. Jackie Buck said, Sneed forgot to tell you that he was holding a hawk. The little bird was a hawk or an eagle. He said, as Sneed, they used to go down to his house in wherever, West Virginia. Sneed would go pull a limb off a tree with a leaf, and he'd tie a lure, like a little fly out of the thing and put it on and fly fish with a leaf. He could tie a fly out of a leaf.
That's a great story.
So why I've developed all these drills is because as you continue to build up strength in this lead arm and in the forearm, it increases your ability to allow the club to go. Think of it in terms as far as yoga. So you go into a yoga class and you start trying to do the moves and you're shaking all over the place. Well, they shouldn't be tough. You're just coming up on one leg and standing there. But it's tough because you don't have the muscle strength and coordination to keep yourself balanced. But as your strength increases, you're able to just nicely have good form, go nice and smooth and controlled. And it's the same way with this. So if you're trying to allow this heavy club to swing around, think of it in terms of yoga. You're shaking all over the place. You're grabbing yourself here, which throws your body open this direction. Well, it's the same here. So as you increase that strength and that sensitivity of being able to control this club while allowing it to swing, well, then it becomes easier and easier. But you've got to increase your strength to do that. In Ben Hogan's book, 5 Lessons, he explains how allowing the club and the hand to swing through the ball like this, and he says building that strength over hitting millions of balls. We don't need to hit millions of balls. I'm not saying that hitting millions of balls wouldn't give you the strength, but most people don't have that kind of type of time. So by doing these drills, you're isolating those muscles, and every single one of them, especially when you get to where you're swinging full, you're really, so that being bent there and me coming through and just holding that's really building that. I can feel that in my forearm right now. Your sensitivity and your ability to do that can always increase. And that is what's going to cause your impact to be consistent, is being able to just allow that right there. Boom. So when I go back, everything's staying square, nothing's moved, and now I'm going to allow the club to move my wrist. So when I transition, I allow the weight to hinge my wrist, and now my lower body's bringing it through. Square impact right there.
They went to the range, I would do this,
Yeah.
and then I would go back, and then I would hit balls.
Yeah.
And I did that for about an hour and a half, and the next day I could barely grab anything with my hands because my forearms were both just exhausted. Like, hold on to a golf club without it just being like, this is so painful. It's because everything was weak.
So with the training videos, training level 1, 2, 3, and 4, we go through a bunch of different drills and a bunch of different things that just show you how to strengthen and start to build up the strength. Now as you go through all the training videos and the instructional videos and all the additional things that come with the Untold Secret to Perfect Impact Training Golf Program, by the end of it, not only are you going to understand the method and understand impact better, but you're going to start to build a foundation to work from, to where you can feel the proper parts of your body and how they work in the golf swing. You know, when you look at the game of golf and you talk about the greatest ball strikers so far, you know, the three names that always come up are Ben Hogan, George Knudson, and of course, Mo Norman. And there's some others in there, and I think it's noted that Mickey Wright, a women's golfer, was touted as Ben Hogan, the best golf swing he'd ever seen. And the reason that I find any value of bringing up these names is that they all more or less kind of come from the same era of time, and it doesn't seem like anyone else has at least come to the same level or has been talked about in the same regard, or put in the same, put at the same level as these ball strikers. And to me, is that to do with the instruction of the modern day, or the equipment, or a combination of both? I'm not really sure, but what I am sure of is what they focused on and what made them great, because I feel like I'm on that path now and my students are on that path. And when you watch them swing, you don't think of what positions they're in. You see that they had an ability, a skill, a talent, a strength. They had a motion, a one motion. And logging on to CoreyWebsterGolf.com is a way to get all the information you need to train like these guys did. And by that I'm meaning in a never-ending progression. So log on to CoreyWebsterGolf.com and let's become master ball strikers.